On tonight's CTV News, local musicians have a new place to call home. We have a sneak peek at Ellerslie, and CTV meets a man from Christchurch's smallest ethnic community who's literally one of a kind. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. More than 40 people have raised their hands to be the next head of the Christchurch City Council. The position for a new chief executive was advertised last month.
Since Tony Marriott's resignation last November, the council's needed a replacement chief executive. The role's been advertised in New Zealand and internationally. Applications for the job closed on Monday. Leanne Dalziel says she'd been advised by Jackson Stone and Partners, a Wellington recruitment company, that 43 people had applied for the position. The Mayor says interest has been strong, both locally and abroad. The council hopes to have the position filled by May. The salary of the new chief executive is yet to be decided. Tony Marriott was the highest paid local government chief executive in the country, with an annual salary of almost $540,000.
3 years on from the earthquakes, and international student numbers are back on the up. In the first 8 months of 2013, there were 5,926 students in comparison to 5,653 in 2012. But those numbers are far smaller than the 11,500 students recorded before the earthquakes. Current international students say the cost is very high for some people. Some have to pay more than 4 times the price of domestic university students. A random audit found no issues with building consents issued by the Christchurch City Council. The audit began last year after International Accreditation New Zealand revoked the City Council's consent accreditation because it hadn't been able to bring its processes up to standard. The government asked the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment to randomly audit recent consents. The audit examined paperwork associated with 104 building consents issued prior to July 2013. 82 consents related to residential buildings and 22 to commercial buildings. Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee says the audit found in all cases the technical decisions were sound and no safety problems were found. Almost a month has passed since the Crown's deadline to buy red zone flatland properties has passed. Essential services were threatened to be cut off. A local lawyer explains the challenges ahead for those who declined the government's offer and if those owners can sell their land.
Over 7,000 property owners accepted the Crown's offer, but for 70 in the quake-affected red zone, they didn't meet the deadline. Many of the property owners offered a settlement agreement by the Crown, sought legal advice about their position.
I've had many red zone people come in and say, what are my options? Do I have to take the offer? And I always start with saying, well, you don't have to leave, but here's the issues you want to think carefully about before you stay.
The Christchurch City Council and the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority have been working on cutting off essential services to houses already purchased by the government. But for those who have decided to stay put, the possibility of losing essential services such as water and sewage could still be on the table. But it does look unlikely to happen.
It's going to be difficult for the suppliers to cut off because of the expectations of the people that are living there.
The major legal issues for residents staying in their red zone properties is facing the complicated insurance and banking issues.
Although they haven't said outright they'll never insure a red zone property, they think very carefully before they do, and it generally requires it's not an off-the-rack arrangement. And if you haven't got insurance, finance is very hard to get. You're in breach of your mortgage if you haven't got insurance. Residents
have taken a risk by not selling to the Crown. Finding insurance is harder for land that's been classed as badly damaged. But Mr Cottrell says some of the properties do have the potential to be insured and possibly sold.
Those properties are probably not saleable. Other properties were red zone because of where they were, the difficulty to get to, the difficulty to effect repairs to the infrastructure and things like that. And those properties may be on sound land, and there may be nothing wrong with them.
Understanding the land and looking at the house on a case-by-case basis may prove the best way to secure insurance.
And insurance may be secured, for example, for those properties for everything except rockfall. And it may be that that's satisfactory insurance for a bank. So yeah, there's still a market for red zone properties out there, and as time passes, I think probably more so, once people learn a bit more about what that property in particular is like.
For the 70 who hadn't accepted the Crown's offer, they'll be working through their legal issues to find the best path to take for the future of their home. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
And viewers can see the Duncan Webb interview played in full on CTV's current affairs show Point of View in the next few weeks. 10 classic orange tractors have been shipped across the Tasman to take part in a classic Australian adventure around the South Island. It's all to help raise thousands of dollars for New Zealand children battling cancer.
It's not every day a large orange monster comes roaring towards you on the road. This is one of 15 restored tractors travelling the South Island over the next few weeks, helping to raise money as part of Child Cancer Appeal Month.
People like us, if we get cancer, we've had our life, but kids haven't, and they deserve a chance. So any help we can give to them, we're quite happy to do it.
10 of the tractors have come from Australia. The other 5 are from all over New Zealand. It's the first time the Chamberlain 9G Tractor Club of Western Australia has made a trip across the ditch, and they're sure to turn a few heads as they travel down the road.
Modern tractors, you drive past them, don't even turn around. But these old things, they're orange, they're bright, and they age them, and the look of them with a canvas top on, they turn heads.
For the club's only New Zealand member, Steve Day, this trip is a chance of a lifetime.
This is my first tractor trek full stop, so it's going to be fairly ambitious. I've driven 800 kilometres from New Plymouth to get here, and then I'm off around the South Island for 2,500 kilometres.
The Tractor Club has already raised more than $140,000 for different charities in America and Australia. But this time around, the aim of the trip is to raise money for children like little Eddie in New Zealand. Eddie was diagnosed with cancer in July last year. He's tractor mad and couldn't wait to get behind the wheel of Steve's Tactor tractor.
Eddie loves diggers and tractors and any machinery type things, so it's good fun for him. He's in hospital so regularly, so it's nice for him to be out and about and just being a little boy, really.
It's Steve's first real chance to put his freshly restored tractor to the test. He spent thousands of dollars restoring it over the last 6 years. He's completely changed its look, but kept it true to its 1960s heritage. The orange beast is even adorned with Steve's first word.
My mum said to me that the second word that I ever said was tractor. It came even before mum. So tractors have been in my system for a long time, and a real passion. I enjoy owning them and driving them. I've enjoyed restoring this one.
Travelling the country in a tractor gives drivers like Steve a special view of New Zealand up close.
I've seen more of the countryside in the short time I've been driving it than I've ever seen in a car. It's just fun, it's happy, makes people smile, makes me smile.
If you see one of the 15 orange tractors passing through, make sure you give them a wave. It's all for a good cause. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Coinciding with the 3rd anniversary of the February earthquake, a new sculpture has been unveiled in Latimer Square. Marcus Gibbs took a look.
A new piece of earthquake art can now be found hovering above Latimer Square. It's called Spires and has been designed by well-known Canterbury sculptor Neil Dawson. It's inspired by the Christchurch Cathedral.
It was when I tried to remember what the spire was like, and I remember sitting down trying to draw it, and I couldn't remember, and I thought that's tragic that you can't remember what used to be the city's icon. So I thought, if I need a little reminder, perhaps the rest of the public need a little bit of a reminder of what it was like.
His latest design is a tribute to the cathedral's fallen spire, but it also ties in with the chalice, a sculpture erected in Cathedral Square 14 years ago, also designed by Neil.
Its whole design was really designed around the form of the cathedral spire, and when that went, it kind of lost its best friend. So it's nice to bring that back.
Latimer Square was a gathering point in the aftermath of the earthquakes. It was a hub for friends and family to meet, as well as a base for the emergency services. So this is the perfect place for this new sculpture.
To be in an environment which is surrounded by trees and sky, it's quite rare in Christchurch.
More than 3,000 man-hours have gone into Spires. The $200,000 project will remain in Latimer Square until at least 2016. It will be officially unveiled Friday night and sure to be popular. Passing members of the public are already stopping to take a look. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Coming up, we meet a man from Christchurch's smallest ethnic community who is literally one of a kind.
Join us tonight at 6 for DW World News. Informative, lively, international news, breaking stories and global developments. DW News, weekdays at 6 p.m, right here on CTV.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference more mobility makes.
Missed a show or want to watch it again? CTV is fitting in with your lifestyle. Be in control with CTV On Demand. Check out our website and follow the links. ctv.co.nz.
Avoid the cowboys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring, moving company.
Love music? Love summer? Then Ingham Lazy Sundays in the beautiful Botanic Gardens Archery Lawn is the place to be. Every Sunday from 3 p.m. through January to February, and it's all free. Ingham Lazy Sundays, putting summer into Sundays.
Make your next evening out one to remember at Tutto Bene Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Enjoy a lively, authentic, friendly Italian dining experience. Our dishes are made with fresh, local produce, prepared and cooked to perfection. Relax and indulge in mouth-watering Italian cuisine. With gluten-free and vegetarian options available, BYO wine is welcome. Tutto Bene. Dine in or take away. Open 7 days from 5 p.m.
Let's face it, everyone has an agenda. And guess what? So do I. Every week, I'll pick 3 stories that grab my attention. Agenda with me, Brent Goff.
A Christchurch music industry trust-driven project hopes to give musicians a place to create and rehearse. The first floor of the Beatbox project will be completed this week. Patrick Phelps reports.
This is the Beatbox, or at least it will be. But what is Beatbox?
It's basically arose obviously out of the need for rehearsal space in the city. There was a survey done prior to the earthquakes that 95% of musicians required rehearsal space anyway. But with the earthquakes, that obviously was a focus on requiring space too.
Mark Royal says Christchurch is one of New Zealand's only major cities without a designated music facility.
Particularly now, I think, as Dean mentioned, just as a result of what sort of the city's been through, I think it's really, really good to have an arts-focused project for the central city. We want to get it to be kind of like not just a rehearsal space, but a musical hub.
It will be open from 10 in the morning till 10 in the evening for all groups of musicians. As for the cost, it'll be about $25 to $30 an hour.
We've gone through the country looking at similar types of arrangement studios, and we're pricing ours right at the very bottom it's literally just covering operating expenses.
The project falls in conjunction with the Art Box on the corner of St Asaph and Madras Street, and a lot of work and concrete has gone into it.
There's a lot of concrete in here. Yeah, there's 3 different foundations in the building. The acoustic studios have got their own foundations, so nothing is in connection with the recording studios. It's just really to help with the clarity of sound.
But Dean Simmons says it's not all about the music.
It's also about the city as well, and we believe that's why we're passionate and have kept going with these sort of projects, is that we want to make Christchurch an interesting place to be in.
Artists should be in here rehearsing come May, just in time for New Zealand Music Month. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Christchurch is home to people from many different nations and numerous migrant communities. Tonight, a man from Christchurch's smallest ethnic community. Patrick Phelps spoke to the man who is, in local terms, one of a kind.
This is the flag of Mauritius, the home country of Keshava Daman Singayan. He's been living in Christchurch for a while, and at the moment, he's a community of one.
How do you find being sort of the only Mauritian in the town?
It's quite difficult sometimes because, especially your language, you can't speak much, which is sometimes it's very difficult because you don't have any friend who speak Creole. We normally speak Creole in Mauritius, and sometimes when you met someone who speak Creole, even my sister, I could not speak properly because I speak always English. So we, get this habit to speak only English now.
The economy of Mauritius is largely based on tourism, and Mr. Singayan travelled the world working in hospitality. Then he settled.
When I came here, I like very much the lifestyle in New Zealand, and very nice people as well. Very nice people in New Zealand.
So you travelled all these places all over the world, and then for some reason when you got to New Zealand...
I stuck here. So I enjoy it now, become New Zealand citizen as well.
Mauritius sits out in the Indian Ocean, but is part of the African continent. With a population of 1.2 million in his home country, Mr. Singayan hopes to see more in Christchurch.
A lot of people, Mauritius people, like to study abroad, which give them a lot of qualification, international qualification. So I'm thinking probably link with some big college here and bring a lot of Mauritius here. So at least I can get a little community here.
Until then, the nearest Mauritius to Mr. Singayan is his sister, who lives in Hanmer Springs. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Heritage buildings have been the talk of the town in the aftermath of the Canterbury earthquakes. Richardson House was first built in 1856 and fared better than most. Despite this, a lot of work's gone into it to get it back up to scratch. Patrick Phelps has the latest.
It's an iconic building which was built in 3 separate stages. With many rooms, many features, there have been many different jobs to do. Rob Daly is the manager of Richardson House in Bush and was in the house when the February quakes hit.
I was in my office, which is in the southwest corner of the upstairs part of the building, and it all hell broke loose, obviously, and the building was going up and down and sideways, and everything was starting to fall off the shelves.
Mr. Daly says at no time did he feel in danger, as the house is very well built. But that's not to say he wasn't shaken.
I came down to check with Taste and any other people in the house straight away, obviously after the earthquake, and there were a lot of white faces, and I presume mine was probably as white as everybody else's. There was a lunch party having a 60th birthday, and they'll never forget that 60th birthday. Obviously their lunch was half eaten, sitting on the plates the next day.
Despite some devastating damage from the chimneys, the building pulled through.
Apart from damage to the lath and plaster, there was very little damage you could see, and obviously racking to the weatherboards outside.
A total of $2.2 million to remedy all the damage, but it's been money well spent. Mr. Daly says by the time it's finished, the house will be safer and stronger than ever before. For anyone unfamiliar with the history of the house, it sits in the Richardson Bush grounds and was once the home of the Deans, one of the earliest families to settle and farm on the Canterbury Plains. The first part of the house was built in 1856, with significant additions made in 1874 and 1900. Charles Deans is 5th generation and says the process has been very interesting for the family.
It's fascinating just to see behind the walls and see what in fact has occurred in terms of damage from the earthquakes, and to see the fascinating types of building construction that's been used over the last 160 odd years.
Mr. Dean says the family are proud of the building's endurance.
That the building itself is one of the few heritage buildings to have momentum going in terms of repairs, and we hope to have the whole process finished by the middle of the year.
With the walls stripped back, a lot of history has been uncovered.
There's a fairly good display of the different stages of the house and the history that's in it. Do you just want to talk us through some of the stuff?
Yeah, some of the architectural features in this room here, which was originally built in 1856, are quite fascinating. This is some of the internal wall here. So we've got lath and plaster on the outside. These are the laths running along here, and in behind we've got some of the old mud that was held together with horsehair. Over here we've got some of the wood from the 1900 section of the house, overlaid with a very early diagonal bracing. This is earthquake bracing that was probably put in 1874, possibly 1900.
But not everything they find is welcome news. This rotting beam costing at least $20,000 to replace. In terms of the work to be done, there are tradies all through the house. Daryl McIntosh has been the site manager here for over a year. It's not his first heritage building, but it's up there among his favourites. He says there's been a lot of organisation to do.
It's just so complex, some of the areas, especially around the chimneys, just trying to organise the trades and everyone to sort of marry in and work around each other pretty much, because there's a lot of subbies involved, because some of the stuff is quite niche.
Site manager McIntosh says though it's been a big effort and the end dates have been pushed back a few times, it's been a good gig. It's
a pleasure to be working on the project, and it's nearing the finish, and I mean there's still a bit to go, but the end's in sight, and the last month's going to be definitely the most rewarding, and looking forward to it.
The project is scheduled for completion by the 11th of April this year. Patrick Phelps, CTV News.
Well, still to come, we have a treat for garden lovers with a sneak peek at next week's main attraction.
Al Jazeera News, international news right off the satellite, bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage of world events. Al Jazeera News, weekday mornings at 6 o'clock, right here on CTV.
Hi, Tony Todd from Todd of Ashburton, maintaining the essence of tradition while keeping in style with today. At Todd's, we do our best to meet customer demands and offer quality fashion with friendly service. Our brands are amongst the best. Catering to both men and women, we can have you looking your finest from top to toe. For our full list of brands and products, view our latest up-to-date catalogue at todds.co.nz.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Hey, what's up with you? Oh, I've got birthdays coming up, I've got bills coming out of my ears, I just don't have the money. Well, why don't you just go to the pawn shop?
Yes, the pawn shop has a massive selection of rings, watches, car audio, sports gear, heaps of DVDs, digital cameras, computers and musical instruments. They have just about everything.
Sounds good to me. Let's go.
Everything's as good as gold at the pawn shop. 77 Ferry Road and 396 Blenheim Road.
Make your next evening out one to remember at Tutto Bene Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Enjoy a lively, authentic, friendly Italian dining experience. Our dishes are made with fresh, local produce, prepared and cooked to perfection. Relax and indulge in mouth-watering Italian cuisine. With gluten-free and vegetarian options available, BYO wine is welcome. Tutto Bene. Dine in or take away. Open 7 days from 5 p.m.
Al Jazeera News, international news right off the satellite, bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage of world events. Al Jazeera News, weekday mornings at 6 o'clock, right here on CTV.
Ellerslie Flower Show is just days away from opening the gates to the public. There's a big rush from designers, both old and young, to get their gardens finished in time for judging. Even local school children are joining the fun.
All hands are on deck for the upcoming Ellerslie Flower Show. Involving the young ones is all part of the festival. This year, Chisnellwood Intermediate School are prepping their garden to go up against 7 other schools from around Christchurch.
I think my favourite part at the end is going to be able to see the end results and see how good it's going to look. And hopefully we win.
Year 8 students are building a noteworthy garden, themed around music. Most of the plants used in the design have come from abandoned houses in Christchurch.
What we've got down there is a guitar which all the students have been helping with, and then we've got that path coming down there which is going to be filled with white cobblestones and then black bricks as a piano.
But while the school pupils are busy prepping their gardens for competition, on the other side of the park, one of the designers is building a tribute to the February earthquake. Wellington designer Ben Hoyle was prepping a garden for the 2011 Ellerslie show when the quake hit. This year, his garden captures the essence of that day in Hagley Park.
The city just flooded in here. You know, that was the first thing everybody did was they sought sanctuary in the park, and that's what this garden's about. It's about a garden as a sanctuary. And you were just helping whoever you could, complete strangers, it didn't matter who you were.
The design is centred around a water feature of 185 leaves, representing the lives lost on the day of the quake. Other aspects represent the shelter sought by those escaping the chaos of the city centre on that day.
It all comes back to that human spirit, that idea of protection and looking out for one another. And as I say, the big bamboo structure behind me come show day will be completely covered with these colourful parasols, you know, different colours, patterns, reflecting our own individuality but all collective as one.
Almost 40 umbrellas are yet to be installed to complete the design in time for the festival when it opens next week. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
If you're driving around the central city, CTV's new traffic update will assist you navigating the repairs taking place.
Hello travellers, several large events are taking place this weekend in and around Hagley Park. To help you plan your journey around the extra traffic, here's some useful tips. On-street parking will be restricted, however parking will be available in Hagley Park North with entry from Richardson Ave. Entry to the parking area is only accessible heading south on Richardson Ave from Deans Ave. We suggest approaching Richardson Ave using the 4 avenues to avoid roadworks through the central city. Park Terrace will be closed between Bailey Ave and Dorset Street on both Saturday and Sunday from 6 p.m. in the evening for the Chinese New Year Lantern Festival in Hagley Park North. To see further information about getting to the events in Hagley Park, check your local mainland press paper this week or visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
And don't forget that we do repeat those transport updates at 7, 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning, so you can check them out before you get into your vehicle and head off for the day. And finally tonight, your regional weather.
Kia ora and good evening Canterbury. A weak cold front is decaying over the region today and an airstream will develop tomorrow. Taking a look now at the weather for your area. Kaikoura, some low cloud possible at first after 14 overnight, but becoming fine and sunny during the day with morning moderate northeasterly winds and a high of 25 degrees. Hanmer Springs sits on a warm 10 overnight, then mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with a whopping high of 31 degrees and some high cloud later on. Those warm light northerly winds will be present as well. Rangiora and Kaipoi, a warm Thursday ahead after 14 overnight with light to moderate northeasterly winds and plenty of sunshine all day. Your daytime high sits on 25 degrees. Christchurch, a warm night on 14 degrees, then a warm day tomorrow as well despite the northeasterly breezes and patchy high cloud. Your daytime high sits on 25 degrees. Fine Thursday in store in Ashburton after 14 overnight with a high of 25 tomorrow, plenty of sunshine and the usual northeasterly breezes. And Timaru, some low cloud possible at first but becoming fine after 14 overnight. Sunny periods during the day with moderate northeasterly winds and rather warm temperatures as your high gets to 25. In other areas now, all areas sitting between 11 and 14 overnight, then highs push from 21 all the way up with Culverden having the top spot on 31. A fine day for most throughout the day, Arthur's Pass and Greymouth having a little bit of cloud in the evening. Looking ahead for Canterbury, fine and warm on Friday with high cloud increasing and thickening during the day. Northeasterlies at first but moderate northwesterly winds develop later on. Warm on Saturday with high cloud and sunny periods and moderate north to northwesterly winds, and cooler southwesterlies and showers developing on Saturday night. That's it from me. Have a great night. We'll have another update for you tomorrow.
That's CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.